Someone recently reached out to me and said, I have falsely been accused of sexual harassment by a relative of mine. And the moment I heard that, I said, stop right there. Tell me, is there a property dispute? The person says, yes. How did you know that? And I responded by saying that I have seen so many cases in just the past few months of relatives fighting each other in courts of law on civil disputes, but of course dragging them into the domain of criminal jurisprudence just because they feel that using the police and using the threat of going to jail as a shortcut to try and force a settlement with the other side is being used on a very, very regular basis. Apparently, because of the lockdown, there has been a huge spike of false cases filed by people on each other, especially because there is this fear that we don't know when we will run out of money because businesses are not working, salaries are not coming in, and therefore there is a higher propensity among you know adventurous people to go ahead and file false complaints. Now, in this situation, the person asked me, what should I do? I told this person that the property dispute right now in this particular situation, there was no case filed by any party on any other party in a civil court. So I told them, even though a complaint is filed against you, you go and approach the civil court. You go and avail of your civil remedy that you have available with a court of law. Do not resort to this tactic yourself. Do not go and try to say, ask your wife to now file a false complaint against the other side just because they did it to you. It is not going to be of much use anyways. But more importantly, this civil right, this civil remedy, one aspect is the limitation period, which when people are caught up with bail applications and discharge applications and quashing petitions, they forget about this aspect of the law of limitation. One. And secondly, you have to understand that when there are false allegations, especially when there are property disputes where there are back and forth communications, a bunch of other things going on between the parties, an allegation of, say, sexual harassment or attempt to rape rarely sticks in a court of law. Yes, bail could sometimes be a problem. I have discussed earlier, sessions courts are not really very keen on granting bail very, very happily. But if you go to the high court and if it's a genuine case that you have, there is a very, very good likelihood that you will get granted bail by the high court. And if not the high court, then of course there's the Supreme Court. And if the Supreme Court also does not grant you bail, you surrender, but again you move your bail applications. You prove your innocence in the court of law even before trial. But once the matter goes to trial, there will be a short acquittal, especially in scenarios like these. And therefore, you have to understand, as a person who is maybe facing a false case, that the civil suit is actually your best remedy, where the dispute between the parties actually culminates into a trial and a conclusion on the merits of the matter. The person on the opposite side, if they do wish to use the criminal justice system against you, there are things that you can do as well. You can also, after getting an acquittal in a long drawn case, you can also file a case of giving false evidence and false prosecution against the the false accuser as well. And that is why, although it is much more tempting to go and file that case against that relative the way they did against you, it is much better you stick to the truth. You seek your remedies in a civil court.